when I grew up, if there was any pause or silence in my aura, they would get very nervous. Is everything all right? So I think that I also grew up trying to be very positive for them.
Wow.
And I think that carries on. I think that has a very big impact. And I'm always super positive now, but it may be because I always wanted to make sure that my parents didn't have to worry or, overly stress, because they were already overly stressed by just the journey of going through what they went through.
Are you going to write their book?
Eventually, yeah. Actually, a passion of mine, and slowly been looking into my family's past. It's getting fascinating.
Wow,
that's another show, but that's
but there is Cuban America is interesting.
One day, definitely. My family's history is really interesting.
That sounds amazing.
Surprisingly so.
Yeah, that sounds. I
never thought there would be like massive epicosity nuggets, but my family is really cool. Very cool.
And I really enjoy any story of what happened in Cuba and the trips and even now people taking the wanting to escape or the other countries. I think what you said is really interesting. That so I'm trying to put this together in my head. So keep talking, Cesar, for a minute, because I
just always have a very positive attitude, and I think it does.
I know what I was going to say. You know what I was going to say? In this day and age, and Deb will understand what I'm trying to say here, is, there's so much people get out there and they say, be authentic, be yourself, be your authentic self. And I always wonder, well, why do you have to tell people to be your authentic self? Isn't it just you're yourself, and you're the most authentic self that there is, Cesar, without having to work hard to be your authentic self. And Deb, I hear it so much in these different programs, and I don't know if you're not your authentic self, then I'm confused. Who are you? And then, so maybe I don't know what that really means to be your authentic self, but I will tell you, Cesar's really himself, so you don't waste a lot of time worrying about how you are.
Yeah, well, that's also been a long journey in my life, just so you know. I mean, I think within the last 10 years, I've become truly, truly my authentic self. It's a work in progress. One thing that has helped me, ironically, is every year I go to a very, very authentic experience.
Oh, do
it's
tell.
Called Burning Man, and I'm about to go to Burning Man in about a week and a half.
I just want to say, because it's so hard. When I first heard it, I was like, say what? Now, Deb is really cool, so I'm assuming she probably knows, but we're going to spell it out in case anyone doesn't know, and then they could Google it too.
Yeah.
Burning
Man. So
Burning, like something burning, and then a man.
And man, right? Yeah. Burning
okay, tell us about Burning Man.
It is on one level the largest Leave No Trace experiential festival on the planet. 70,000 people come to the Black Rock Desert of Nevada and build a city.
They're there now, right? Building the city.
They're building it now.
What? Leave no trace.
Leave no trace. Yeah, that means. We're so good at cleaning up. Even the United States Army came out 3 years ago to study how we clean up our mantra. We have 11 principles. One of them is to really, really clean up, after ourselves. So you see these big festivals like Coachella and other things. There's a mess afterwards. So anyway, but that's a side note. What really happens at Burning Man is an experiential community that allows complete, true, radical self-reliance, radical immediacy, and really radical being yourself. Everything is just accepted. There are things that happen. There are people that, for the first time, do things out there. And I'm talking about the whole gamut of stuff.
A little Woodstock going on, too.
Yeah,
then.
a little Woodstock, definitely. And then there's amazing art and creativity. But I know that I have become more into myself as I've found a community and a family out there that has allowed me to just show my true colors. Because I'm an oddball, by the way. I am an odd duck. For a Cuban American, I'm a very odd little Cuban American. I don't fit a lot of molds.
I always say he's quacked up.
So that's helped me a lot. And that's part of the reason I keep going. Not only the Burning Man, the big festival, but there's Burning Man regional festivals that I've been involved in. And I make art, I create art, I even do performance art pieces, so ad-libbing has become a beautiful art for me, and it actually frees you,
Wow.
when you just roll with it.
All right, so is there any, I have to ask a question because it's Adrienne's Ps and Qs. Tell us about the Ps and Qs. What's the etiquette? Bathroom etiquette, meeting people etiquette, is no clothes etiquette?
Interesting that you should say that. In a world that is kind of tight about a bunch of rules, there are very little rules, but there's also some really interesting rules there. Yes, there's a lot of, people running around nude and stuff. Not everybody. I don't certainly do that, but, people do. But there is also the counter of that. If you have a lot of people running around nude in the default world, there's going to be some issues and some problems. There, on the other hand, it's so wickedly respectable that if someone should even dare take that the wrong way, a bunch of people in the community would say, excuse me, that is disrespectful to this young lady.
Oh, God. So you go nude because you're comfortable going nude. It's hot out. You love you're fine.
It's sold in the media and sometimes on YouTube, like it's free for all. But it's also probably the most respected place on the planet with respect towards women in general and just people in general be themselves. Beautiful. So there's an interesting irony in that.
That is interesting. So there's no crimes of sex being committed.
Well, I mean, occasionally there's one or two, but it's just like it happens. But
it's not like
it's not statistically towards a small city. It's nowhere near. A lot of things are just much lower out there. It's still a city and things happen, but it is just it's a utopia in a different way, basically.
Interesting. Music, are bands come and play
everywhere. There's no centralized band set. Like there's no one stage. Oh, that's one. Talk about etiquette at Burning Man. There are no spectators. Everybody's a participant.
Oh, that is really.
That's an interesting in the default world. Because in the default world, we're used to kind of paying and then you entertain me.
Yes.
But there, I am just as much Burning Man as some hot DJ that's known internationally.
So, let me guess. So if you play the guitar, you bring your guitar,
that's right.
And if people love you, they go around
you. If you know how to draw or paint,
dance,
you know how to wield a hammer, you can jump on an art piece that's being finished up. I do a lot of performance art pieces. This year I'm going to be doing live from the burn. I do an actual broadcast.
Very cool. Whoa!
We're talking here, but
I can't wait to see.
It's a whole different hilarity. There's no hold bars, and we just go in any one direction. But that's my gift to the playa. The playa is kind of like the open air art piece that's there. There's over 300 massive art pieces brought to Burning Man.
Wow.
So Burning Man, is skeletal formation of Burning Man takes about $13 million just to set up the city.
Jeez.
But $60 million in art is brought into the city at no cost to anybody. People just donate their art, their time, their blood, sweat, and tears, and their investments, and they bring art. And for a week, they party in the desert like
it's crazy as big as it is. Like I've never heard of it before.
Adrienne Barker, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to end up at Burning Man one day, and if you think I'm smoking funny cigarettes, I bet you I'm going to be right on this.
Well, that's okay. So then let's ask this question: what the youngest is how old, and the oldest is how old?
That's one of the most beautiful things at Burning Man. There is really no right age at Burning Man. In fact, the medium age is somewhat in the high 30s. Even though online on YouTube you think, there's a bunch of young 20-year-olds, but no, when you go to Burning Man, there are people that have been burning at Burning Man for 30 years.
Do they really burn anything?
They do. They burn a lot of things now, but mainly the man effigy and the temple burn on Saturday and Sunday at the end of the festival.
What are the dates again?
This year it's August 26th through September the 3rd.
And what do you do? So you
tent out there, you survive out there. One of the things is radical self-reliance. So sometimes it can be horrifically hot or dusty.
How far is it from the local town? Where do if I want to get lollipops, where do I go?
2 hours from Reno and 13 miles from the near tiny town called Gerlach.
Wow. Same place every year?
Same place every year. Well, with it's on Bureau of Land Management land, and every year they GPS one point, and then they start building the city from that point. So it might be off by a couple yards or 10 yards or so, but wherever I can, every year is a little bit off from
a little bit. That's so cool.
But generally, it's about a 2 mile pentagon. So from every point, it's 2 miles. So it's a pretty big space.
It really, Deb, it's really cool to see everyone actually. I saw the video that you sent over where everyone's getting ready, so they all meet and then they're setting up and seeing each other again, and you can see the friendships and the love. And so, what about? Is it expensive? And are people selling things there? Can you bring a ton of water and
one of the tenets
water?
is decommodification. So there's no selling per se of vendors, etc. You have to bring everything in and everything out.
Gotcha. So you bring your own water in,
as part of the radical self-reliance. You have to bring your own thing. There is ice for sale only because of health issues with food, etc. So, but the ice sales go to the art that is provided also for the
interesting
the artists that have big artworks. There's
nice.
What do you call them? Stipends and
what's the cost of Burning Man?
Burning Man ticket costs start around $390 and can go up into the thousands, believe it or not. But the early tier that I jump on every year in January is about $390.
What is it? Oh, it's early in the morning. I'm still getting up. I'm so sorry, everyone. Woo! Cesar, tell me about what $1,000 gets you compared. Is there like little spots that are better?
No. Yeah, the ticket, you have to get a ticket to get into Burning Man. So, but they do that so that the early tier, if you get them early, and they just, and there's a pre-sale that's $900 if you want to get the pre-sale out of the way. The tickets go so quick that literally sometimes 10,000 can go into in 20 minutes.
That's amazing. I enjoyed this conversation. Deb, we're going to get you some more information about Burning Man because you never know if any of the listeners on W4 Divas is interested. Or we'll be right back. This has been such an interesting conversation with Cesar. Now that I have Cesar in front of me, I want to ask Cesar a question. I've noticed often, and it seems to be here in Arizona actually, more than I ever can remember, though I will say that it's only been a year that I really, became an international etiquette and protocol consultant. But my mommy and daddy always taught me to stand if someone ever greeted me.
Oh.
If someone ever greeted me, I couldn't even think about. I've always stood. I have to say, I've always stood because I recall many people always saying, "Hey, why are you standing?" But I always it's a sign of respect. I am very surprised, Cesar. Today, for instance, I was at an event and the men never stood for me.
Huh.
I went over to say hello. It wasn't like they were stuck in a corner somewhere. And very rarely, and I will call out Tucson, the men do not stand.
Really? Huh.
Now, I know, and you may not realize it because, do you stand?
I stood today when I met the girl and then the
Caitlin,
boss
yes.
and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean not much, but I did.
But you're right, so, and
the gesture at least.
Sometimes it's okay. I'm sorry, I can't get up. But I'm just surprised in a business setting. I'm really when you're in a restaurant and the servers, not that they're saying anything wrong with servers, but they're younger than you. It's a little different. But when you're in a business setting,
right, and
you're meeting a business person and you want to wow them, and you're going to spend a couple minutes talking to me and want me to give you your business, why wouldn't you stand,
crazy. That's crazy.
male or female?
I'm impressed.
So I really have to say, I'm really finding etiquette, and I'm also realizing, you ever notice more people shaking hands, sitting down? I just don't even understand that. I always thought you had to stand up. Now let me just say, real etiquette, the true way to do it is you stand up, you reach out your hand, you shake, and you do it the right way. You should never be shaking hands sitting down. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's why I love my Toastmasters meeting, because shaking hands and all, people really learn that you always have to pass off to the next speaker. You shake the Toastmaster's hand, or if you give the microphone to someone else speaking, you shake hands. So it's a great way of learning. And
one of the greatest gifts my father ever gave me is that when anybody came to the house, I was always expected to come over and say hi, and not only say hi and then hightail it back to the room, but engage in a meaningful conversation of some kind. Doesn't have to be whatever.
Right.
But you just don't go hi and then take off. So, I was always, you probably noticed it today, the girl going to Italy, etc. like that. You just don't say, oh, great, have a good time. You get into it. Where is it? I went to Rome and the pizza story and all this stuff. So, it's important. That's from my dad.
That is a beautiful...
I'm a person because of my dad, for sure.
Well, that is great. So parents, when you have a younger child, that makes really sense.